Hey everybody, Brian Von VA here. I hope everyone's doing alright out there in the world. I know it's a little bit chaotic, but we're here for you, providing you with more D&D stories. Today, we've got a doozy, D&D Players of MrRipper. Have you ever had an animal companion / pet in your games? Part 1. Well, we found a pack of blink dogs as soon as we left a dungeon that was under a city we were in. The pack ran away from us, and while the rest of us did last-minute shopping before we left the town, the druid of our group shape-changed into a dog and gave chase, hoping to catch them. But instead, she just created chaos and destroyed things along her way. To end the chaos, I flew up, got a lucky perception check, -1 wisdom, and no proficiency for perception, and spotted them. As I flew down, I spotted a meat seller, bought the entire thing of meat he had, completely overpaid for it while I was at it, and tempted the blink dogs to follow me by feeding them the meat. My DM gave me advantage on the animal handling check, and I got a natural 20, so I got their attention. I then proceeded running back to my group, imagine a muscle-bound dragonborn covered in weapons running away from a pack of blink dogs, while tearing off bite-sized pieces of the meat to get the blink dogs to follow. The funny thing is that the blink dogs follow my character more than the druid, and it drives her crazy. Since then, she and I co-train the pack, and she pretends that they are hers, despite them preferring my character. I once played a revised Beastmaster Ranger named Hunter, I don't remember his actual name, who had a wolf companion named Brag. Now, my DM explained how Hunter and Brag could understand each other by Hunter being a descendant of a wolf spirit. Hunter and Brag would have conversations all the time without anyone understanding that Hunter actually knew what Brag was saying. So one time, he and Brag were talking about Brag's wolf exes, and in character, someone thought Hunter had sex with wolves. There was another time where we were in a tavern playing poker, and I had Bragg circle the table so I could cheat. Sadly, we never finished. An ancient phoenix named Scorn. A bit of a grumpy complainer with a wider range of curse words than an armada of drunken sailors. And frankly, just as charming. They were actually my sorcerer's ancestor that granted them their magic, but they were sealed away after one of their rebirths nearly triggered a volcanic eruption. My sorcerer was able to marginally weaken the seal enough to let them out in the form of a baby, and they agreed to tag along as my familiar if we agreed to set them completely free later. Eventually, we did completely unseal him, but he decided to stay with us anyway, having taken a liking to us over the course of our adventures. Snowball. Sweet, precious Snowball. Snowball was a white rat, my gnome's sorcerer familiar, and he would often be found perched on her shoulder or riding under her oversized beret. The sorcerer, named Tully, had a tendency to get drunk and set things on fire, and Snowball was nothing if not a terrible influence. He would egg her on to flirt, fight, or drink more than she could handle. Anyone seen Little Kiribo's Evangelion Abridged? Snowball was basically every character shouting, "Your ma's a slag!" Gotta love the rat familiar's bonus to fortitude saves in 3.5 edition. In the campaign, Tully happened to be an informant for a spy network and sent coded messages back to her handler. The DM gave us bonus XP for writing in character journals about the session, and I used those to hide secret messages about our objectives, destination, and party. Snowball helped her to spy on the other party members and scout enemy encampments. He usually succeeded his intelligence checks to pass on correct and relevant information. So, Tully became a decent information broker. Sadly, Snowball died when Tully was caught in an area of effect reign of something or other damaging. We were level 12. The big bad evil guy was level 17 with a horde of minions and protected with prophecy armor. That meant only 2 characters could hurt him. I wasn't one of them. We did beat him, but little Snowball didn't make it out. Rest in peace, Snowball, you clever little rat bastard. My wood elf scout found a wounded bloodhawk and nursed it back to health, then started teaching it to attack whatever my character shot arrows at. Having a heat-seeking hawk was definitely awesome, and messed with the DM a bit. My monk had a constrictor snake she had captured during an encounter. She rolled pretty high for animal handling and was able to train the snake, and the DM invented a language like parcel tongue that the monk picked up after hanging with her snake, and now in battle she can tell the snake to attack. My Dragonborn Bard has a 6-foot-tall mastiff that he saved from a wolf pack when he was little. Raised it to be my character's best bud. When the Bard returned home, he did so with his best pal, Zama. Also has another dog that runs by his side named Zach. Edit. Zach was found swimming in a lake, and when Zama and my Bard got separated, Zach comforted Zama until the three of them were reunited. TLDR. Kobold wrestles a drake into submission and makes it his pet for the short amount of time between meeting it and his death. Zorin the Nutcracker. My Kobold Barbarian had a pet drake briefly before he died. This particular series of sessions happened a long time ago, so I can't remember exactly what happened. From what I recall, the party was infiltrating a camp of dragon cultists to free prisoners they had taken from a town they had recently raided. To make a long story short, in freeing the prisoners, Zorin got buddy-buddy with the camp's local kobolds. Norrell, our paladin, distracted the guards in the camp, while Vanward, our warlock, dealt with the ones outside the camp. The rest of the party worked to get the prisoners out and safe. Our poor cleric, Naria, became a laughing stock as she face-planted in the middle of the camp. Everything was fine and dandy. So once that was done, and the party regrouped, we entered the cave deeper into the camp. Can't remember why we needed to enter the cave, but we did. But as we were obviously not authorized to enter the cave, we were attacked on sight. So we entered a combat involving several cultists, and a couple ambush of drakes. Well, my barbarian seized these draconic beasts and decided he's going to prove himself the superior draconic being by breaking this mighty beast. And so Zorin the Nutcracker flies into a rage, charging one of the drakes and begins to wrestle it to the ground. The rest of the party fights and kills the cultists and the other drake. All the while I'm grappled onto this drake and am violently trying to dominate it with all of my 28 pounds of raging kobold. Eventually, after a few more rounds of this drake trying and failing to throw Zorin off, I managed to pin it down and force it to submit. Can't remember what I did next, but I somehow managed to convince the drake to follow us. Probably bribed it with some meat I procured earlier or something. Being a not-so-creative barbarian, Zorin decided to simply call it green, because of its green scales. He began to train it using meat as a reward for good behavior, though honestly, never made it too far with green. It was in that same dungeon that most of our party met its end. Norrell and our rogue Zuan got overrun by kobolds. Zorin and the other barbarian Motomoto were slain by a half-dragon warrior, and Green fled when Zorin died. My time with Green was brief, but it was great. My players all got Hippogriff eggs as payment for helping a Hippogriff breeder. They were the red one and aquamarine, as sadly the third egg was smashed during a battle and the knight forgot the egg was in her backpack, and not at the inn like the other two eggs. Side note, the red one was pink with a blue mane. The wizard didn't really do much with the red one, made a little tiny hut and a gemstone for it to live in, but it never left the gem, and was only fed when the players remembered it existed. Aquamarine fared better and became a mount for the cleric, until the wizard traded her away for some gold while the cleric was taking a break from the game. I will say the actual pet of that campaign was a homebrew monster called a magmetal drake. There were magical beasts that were walking furnaces in the vague shape of a drake. They eat metal and metal ore. Their magma changing color based on their diet. In enters Chimera, a baby MMD the knight picked up during the Christmas quest. She was about the size of a border collie, but was super fat from all the treats and scrap the party fed her, and the time she got into the party fund and ate all their silver. She was a good girl and deserved every treat she got. DM here, it's actually my first campaign that I'd ever done. It started as a one-off, but because of how the players ended it, that's another story, I turned it into a long-term campaign. There are 2 pets in the game, and one I'm still considering whether or not to allow. The first one is a killer bunny, which happened to be a killer bunny, and Blood Hunter got that from rolling it a random character sheet with several limitations. I gave this rabbit a kick and bite attack, not thinking it would attack often. The druid in the campaign made it her familiar and trained it for combat. It rolls better for its attacks than the druid, and has the capability to do more damage. In the next session, only the druid showed and decided that going against a rather large bandit camp alone was a good idea. She attacked at night and didn't actually kill any of them while they were awake, only sleeping ones. For the ones awake, they had to deal with the bunny, who was very intimidating. The bandits don't want to fight it, making the druid the main target, who luckily has decent health. She took the hits, and the killer rabbit dealt the hits. By the end of the campaign, this rabbit had done most of the damage. The only other thing I am considering is the spirit of a dead bug monster that the fighter tried to intimidate back to life. He rolled high, but didn't revive it. He did manage to intimidate the creature's spirit back into an existence, and now it's following him around and haunting him. Well, my character, Fang, is a werewolf. I haven't really tried his wolf side yet and forgot his class, but I think he was a ranger or druid, and he mainly doesn't remember his past after reincarnation or something of the like. Anyways, there's this ghost werewolf woman who has a crush on him. Once I have reached level 4, the ghost became my companion, familiar as a wolf. Not a normal wolf though, but a dire wolf, or some other superior wolf. Haven't played any further in the campaign, but I intend to go further on such thing. Not entirely sure this one counts, but I'm gonna give it a shot anyway. The campaign was among my first ever sessions, and it would serve as one of my gateway experiences into D&D. This particular world was based off of the Monster Hunter series. While I'm raiding a cave and just managed to kill off some sort of bear thing, I want to investigate a black mist seeping through the ground, and eventually I come across a baby Nargacuga, whose mother had been freshly killed by a much larger beast. I roll a 20 on animal handling and offer the bear beast carcass to the baby, to which it gluttonously digs in a very literal and bloody way, I might add. Needless to say, it warmed up to me so fast that it basically imprinted on me. I would have stayed in the cave longer, but one well-rolled investigation check revealed that the mist I had been tracking was in fact remnants of the frenzy virus, which meant that the monster that killed the mama Nargacuga was a Gore Mogula. Considering that this endgame beast was nearby, I decided to rush the Nargacuga cub out of the cave, and I named my sweet baby girl Nyx. I got some questionable looks from the other hunters, but upon witnessing how well Nyx managed to listen to me, I was allowed to keep her, provided that I took care of feeding her. The intro campaign didn't last much longer, but in that short time, I had grown rather fond of the killer cub, hoping that, with a little convincing, my DM might let me bring her back in a different campaign. Hey everyone, Brian Von VA here, checking in after the vid. If you liked today's video, then please leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell to be notified whenever we go live uploading a video on the channel. Sharing is, of course, caring. As such, if you can share us out to the whole wide world on any platform, God, please do so, because we want to bring all the D&D nerds or hopefuls into the fold by spreading it far and wide. If you have a story you'd like to share, by the way, make sure to check out our subreddit r/MrRipper and join the Group Finder Discord if you want to find some buddies to play with. Links are in the description below. Using a help action, you can follow me, Brian Von VA, on YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and all of the other lovely places. Just wanted to say, at the very end of all these, we try to remain positive. We always got to end it on a high note. And tonight, I just wanted to say, I hope everyone's doing okay. Sometimes all you really need is someone to say hi to, or someone who's going to pay attention to you for 5 seconds. So, from me to you, hi, how's everyone doing? You got some water handy? Drinking some tea? Making sure you're well fed? I hope so. If so, leave it in the comments below, tell me how you're doing, and let me know that you're all okay out there. All the love, everybody, be safe, and we will see you next time. Bye for now.